Welcome back to At Home with Roby. I'm Patrick McIsaac from Roby Electric, along with Trent Haston from the Roby family of companies. We are your hosts. Rob, we were talking about the West Side. Why Wilkinson Boulevard? Tell us a little bit about why you're focused so much on this corridor.
Well, unlike Trent, I don't have a symbol or a sign. I went to Myers Park High School and had little occasion to come to the West Side or Wilkinson Boulevard growing up. However, later in life, I made a decision. I had some development going on in Belmont and just over the river, and my quickest route was Wilkinson Boulevard. Ultimately, my family and I moved out to Belmont and started to realize how much the West Side has to offer for the greater city. Not only the west side of Mecklenburg, but beyond, over into Gaston County. And it was pretty amazing. And it's hard each day as a real estate developer and broker not to ride up and down Wilkinson Boulevard and think about all the possibilities that could be. And that's kind of where the whole thing started as we were closing out our activities in South End.
Well, now maybe you can do. Marika is here. Could you introduce us to Marika? Marika, I know this is really a big priority for you. Is Wilkinson Boulevard, and you've done a lot of visionary groundwork already.
We relocated our corporate offices to Wilkinson Boulevard about a year and a half ago. We also 3 or 4 years ago opened up a second Coldwell Banker commercial office in Belmont. The thought is we would begin to establish relationships much like we did in South End up and down the Wilkinson corridor. For about a year, I pressed on some of my team to start cataloging and understanding the business owners and property owners along the corridor and couldn't find any real takers to put the kind of energy behind it that I wanted. Marika came into our world and as a transplant to Charlotte and came to me as an outsider and said, this corridor could be great. She told me the things that I had been saying for 2 years, and even though we had never met, had the same vision. And so she was very likely candidate to come on board and help us with our goals and objectives. And so I will let Marika tell us how she came into the Wilkinson and West Side corridor.
Please do.
Thank you for having us here again. As Rob had mentioned, I relocated up to Charlotte from the Miami area, where I was doing some commercial brokerage there as well. And prior to moving to Charlotte, I just studied the map of Charlotte, and I saw this corridor from the airport to downtown. And I said, you know what? That is the main vein that connects people who are coming into Charlotte, going into downtown. I'm sure it's great. It has all these developments. It's probably fun to drive down. It's probably exciting. And so I went to Google Maps and did a street view. And what I saw in the street view wasn't what I thought or what I envisioned. And I said, oh, the street view is outdated. That's exactly what that is. Google hadn't gotten around to it. Oh, that's fine. No worries. And then I got here and I drove down Wilkinson Boulevard and I saw that street view was actually very accurate. And then I got excited because I just thought this is fantastic opportunity.
Well, I joke about all the time, and kind of with I'm a little slow earlier. I keep it simple, stupid, and all my clients, I wanted to be between Uptown and the airports where I wanted our office shop to be. Plus, I kind of wanted to be on the west side quadrant, no matter how close to the center city we could get. And so we bought a property on Moorhead in the middle 2000s, and all my clients, and it's an old building and whatever, but we threw some branding on it, but didn't fix it up, make it all fancy. And they all started asking me every time I see them, what are y'all doing over there on Wilkinson? They didn't even know it was Moorhead still or whatever. They didn't even know. And I said, how do you know about that? And they say, well, I go to the airport that way. So,
absolutely.
It's a conduit to the city, right?
Absolutely. I think it's probably one of the most frequent, if not easiest, ways to get from Charlotte or downtown Charlotte to the airport.
And we were saying also in the break, I mean, something else I like. My criteria were I wanted an old, cool building. I wanted some real estate. I wanted to be close to Center City. I wanted to be on the west side. I wanted to be on the conduit channel and also near great access, interstate and highway access, which you have Highway 74. You have I-77, and then about 3 miles up, you have I-85. So if your business is going to grow or you want people to be able to get to you, it's a great spot.
It is a great spot, and I don't think I fully appreciated it in the beginning. As I started making that daily trek back and forth to Belmont commuting, I kept passing by the building down the street from yours that we redid, the 60,000 square foot dye stuff building. And I kept passing by it and thinking, God, what a beautiful building. The Art Deco meets Southern Textile. That could be a really cool office building. And kept passing by and kept saying, yeah, it's too bad it's in the wrong place. And finally, one day I was coming home from work and I said, maybe it's a really cool building in the right place. Maybe this is where we need to be. It's close to the center city, close to the airport, close to the highways, and close to Belmont, where at the time I lived. After we opened the offices down in the Gaston side of the river, it started to become very apparent that this corridor has a lot to offer, and with the right collection of people and pulling people together and introducing them to each other and beginning to synergize and think about all that could be, that's what happened in South End. Marika is doing for us today what I did 25 years ago on South Boulevard. She is a people connector, so she is meeting and introducing herself and our company, and now your company, to the corridor and the businesses that are there, in hopes that together we can do something great.
And she is, and her knowledge of the way I was introduced to Marika was she was talking to another property owner in the corridor, and they said, hey, have you met Trent Haston with the Roby family, and you need to meet him. I think I have very good intimate knowledge of that. I will tell you about that building. Me and my granddad and my dad and my brother went and looked at that building, and all my dad could talk about was how big the roof was when you needed to replace it, and how much it was going to cost to heat. And I guess I got, us Hastings have got little kahunas over here. But thank you for doing that and blazing that trail. And the building is gorgeous.
Well, the beautiful thing about it is now we have a building that essentially was sitting vacant. It was used as storage. It was a 1939 German designed and built building for the General Dye Stuff Corporation. It was the Rolls-Royce of dye companies, textile dye companies in the world. But the building is a wonderful building, but the beauty of it is having now restored it and moved 6 companies into the building, we now have over 200 people that are there on a daily basis working out of that property. That's how change begins to occur in corridors, and it doesn't happen at one end and work its way all the way to the other end. Nodes of activity begin to occur. And so Roby has the building at the corner of Moorhead and Wilkinson. The county has now moved all of their real estate services to the old Charlotte Law Building. Goodwill Industries has built a wonderful new facility. Yep. We have a new 60,000 square foot facility that a client of ours will soon be building in between my building and yours. A number of things that are occurring. My hope for the corridor is that we retain some of the things that we all know as Wilkinson, like the Dairy Queen. And that architecture, that the new architecture that comes, pays tribute to the fire station next to the Dairy Queen. We did that deal years ago with the city of Charlotte. But that's how change begins to occur. And then the outlying communities, the residential communities, the Camp Greens and the Ashley neighborhood and Wesley Heights, and these neighborhoods begin to bond together.
Okay, Marika, you have an agenda. I got an email. We met a while back, and I've started getting I guess our monthly emails. What you got going on?
Sure. So as and Rob had mentioned in the prior segment that I started this catalog of all of the owners and all of the parcels that touch Wilkinson Boulevard from downtown to the river. And after compiling that information, I just started to go and meet these different owners and introduce myself. And as I started to do that, I realized that owners on one part of Wilkinson didn't quite know what was happening on the other part of Wilkinson. And I saw that as an opportunity to create something of value where I could disseminate information, keep everybody informed of everything that's happening on the corridor, and that would be of good use to everyone. So I started the Wilkinson Boulevard newsletter, that is the impetus upon which we met.
Yep.
Is there a website as well, Marika?
Yes, we will be rolling out a website very soon. It's called wilkinsonblvd.com. It will pretty much tie into the newsletter, so that website will have all real estate information, business information, civic information, and all social information as it pertains to the corridor.
No, it was very good to read. We had met. I guess you sent it out to me the afternoon that we met, so I kind of knew what it was going to say. But there's so much excitement and movement going on this corridor, and we're thrilled to have you guys as allies, friends, and partners in our in our quest to make it a economic staple in Charlotte. And I think that's when you have 200 jobs in one building that used to be empty. That's what we're doing.
We appreciate you giving us an opportunity to share what we're up to and look forward to coming back soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. We'll be right back.